Portfolio Management. Dr. Tibbits was introduced into SCS in February of 2004, appointed the Deputy CIO for Enterprise Development for the Department of Veterans Affairs on the 7th of December 2006. Dr. Tibbits is currently on assignment as Chairman, Transformation 21 Working Group, to set in place the IT organization, processes, projects, and knowledge management tools necessary to prepare the VA to operate in the 21st century. Dr. Tibbits experienced Senior Executive Leader in Change Management, Organizational Development, Managing Global Health IT Systems, Planning, Problem Solving, Metrics, Outsourcing, Contracts, Finance, and Customer Satisfaction. He led IT operations for approximately 100 hospitals, 500 clinics, 100 data centers, networks, and 125,000 desktops, and implemented controls to manage total ownership cost. He also won our Best Speaker Award from last year, so in December. So you're in very good hands. So with that, I'll give it to Mr. Paul Tibbits.
Thank you. Great. Great. Okay, well, let's see. So you now know way too much about me. Let me ask you all about you. So first of all, I would like all veterans to stand up. Veterans, please stand up. Great. Thank you so much for your service to the country. That's great. And we're doing our best to serve you. It's interesting, of the veterans that just stood up, let me ask another question. All of the veterans that just stood up, if you currently today work in IT industry, please raise your hand. Great. Okay, that's great. So it's of interest to me, and I'd like to maybe leave this as a rhetorical question. I don't know whether we need to get into it or not, but if you want to, I guess we can. In the era of social networking now, one of the things I've become impressed with when companies, vendors come meet with me, and I meet with them 2 to 3 to 4 a week, and I've done that for my entire federal career in IT, by the way, so I can't even begin to tell you how many business cards I have, and furthermore how many I've lost. But what's very interesting to me is, first of all, most vendors that come to me never do their homework about what it is we, the buyers, want. So that's problem number one, right? So for any of you who are interested in knowing, at least for some silly set of reasons because you can't sleep, what it is I'm interested in, you can go to my Facebook page, and it's out there in tons of it on what I think is interesting. No reason why you should think it's interesting unless you're coming to meet with me and you want to guess at what I might ask you. But if you don't care, then don't read it. What the hell? I mean, so anyway, with respect to homework, one of the little Machiavellian key questions I've started asking vendors is how many veterans they have working for them, and do they know, right? And they'll say, oh, well, we have quite a few, we have some, we have 130, we have 752, some very broad spectrum of answers when I ask industry that question. Question number two is, do you, in some way or other, bring them together as a focus group, the veterans who work for you? Do you bring them together as a focus group to tell you, as a company, what it is they think you need to sell us? And in almost all instances, I got a big fat zero. So with respect to a focus group of potential customers for what you might think it's important to sell to the VA, I would suggest you consider at least going to your own veteran employees and asking them, right, and put them all together into some kind of little community of interest or something, because they might actually be able to tell you with greater precision what it is we need than we can tell you what it is we think we need. So anyway, you might want to give that some consideration. I'm going to try something a little bit different here, since I really could care less whether I get through all these slides or not, and I'm sure you could care less also. I'm going to jump down here somewhere. Let's see if I can figure this out. Yeah, I can figure this out. Just had a quick tutorial here. So this is called bluff, right? The bottom line up front. So what I'm here to do, what I think I'm going to do is, what I'm here to do is give you all a report card on where enterprise architecture is at the VA. I'm not here to give you a tutorial on it. Most of you in the audience are smarter on EA than I am anyway. People sitting outside there certainly are. So this is just by way of full disclosure to tell you where we are and where we're not. I guess Parham puts these slides up on a website somewhere, so you'll have them anyway. And so if I don't get through all of them, it's perfectly fine. I'd much rather have you all get the drink. So if you finish before I do, just leave. Okay, so I'm jumped to the end of the briefing here, and then I'll go back to the beginning. So just to make sure you see the bottom line here. So critical success factors. So enterprise strategic plan. Well, and I was just talking to our government computer news folks a minute ago, and much of what I'm going to say here, as you'll see here, is conditioned on the way VA is structured, right? So some of this may be relevant to all of you. It may be interesting to some of you. It may be irrelevant and not interesting. Anyway, Congress in 2006, if you don't know, created the single IT appropriation for VA. So all IT money is in one appropriation for the VA, surrounded by all the appropriation law that you imagine appropriations are surrounded by. So we can't buy aspirin with IT money, and VHA can't buy pills with IT money either. I mean, we buy IT with IT money. Number two, at the same time, Congress created the single IT authority. So we have a single IT authority, the CIO, at the VA, who is the most empowered CIO, I believe, unless someone here knows differently, at the cabinet level in any federal agency. So our CIO owns all that money and that appropriation, owns all the IT people, 7,000 of them or so, owns all the IT systems and all the IT contracts. So we are very much a monopoly supplier of IT goods and services to the rest of the department. And I think those of you who work in federated organizations, whether it's Health and Human Services, the Department of Defense, I think can understand the dramatic difference between that structure and what it is you all have to work with and live under. So having said that, the Enterprise Strategic Plan. Well, a very interesting thing happened with this administration. Now, how many of you in your federal careers have been engaged in strategic planning? Great. Not a lot of, about a third of you, so maybe. How many of you have seen anything done with those strategic plans? 1, 2, okay, 4, fine, 5, great. I would be among those of you who raised your hand having done it, but never having seen anything done with it. And I worked for, oh, I don't know, 8 assistant secretaries of defense probably in some IT capacity or other, each of them in the Department of Defense creating their own strategic plans for the military health system. All of those strategic plans uniformly to go on the shelf and have nothing to do with POM budget formulation. Zero, nothing. At the VA, this has been a very different experience with this administration. Because of the election cycle, November and then January, the first opportunity this administration had to affect the budget was what we call the spend plan or operating plan for 2010, because that's when they came in after the budget had been formulated. In any case, this administration undertook a massive, I say massive because it was broadly participative approach to creating the VA strategic plan with everybody and their grandmother engaged in it. Endless meetings, and if you've ever seen mapping exercises, I tell you, they would all pale in comparison to what we did, but I mean spreadsheets to spreadsheets and maps on the wall and subsets of paragraphs and on and on and on. Then we proceeded to connect that to our 2010 operating plan, which is our last-minute depiction in fall time frame, September, October, November time frame, of what it is we're actually going to spend money on in the VA across the board, including IT, and of course that goes off to OMB then, and it's the last final tweak on the President's budget that went in 12 months before that. So that operating plan and then the subsequent 2011 budget and now the 2011 operating plan are all directly driven by this strategic plan. Now, in my federal career, that's never happened before, so maybe there are 4 of you in the room here who have had a similar experience. Maybe I make 5 or number 6, I didn't quite count the hands, but very unique experience. So as you begin to think of, you name the framework, I don't know, FEA, let's say, with the performance reference model at the top, or whatever that thing is at the top that represents